come to thank him. Today we come to praise him. Today we come to lift him up. I want to first say all honor to God and all praise to him. And then I want to thank this pastor, Pastor Heath and Carter Metropolitan family for allowing me this opportunity this morning to be with you, to be a spokesperson for God in the presence of this congregation. I don't take it for granted that so many other people could have stood here and did this very same thing. But I thank him for making choice of my voice. And I thank God for the opportunity to be here. Life entreats us with so many different things. And sometimes we know not whether should I say, what one day will hold over another. One day is good, the next day is bad. One day we're good and we're working well, and the next day we're down. But yet God is still on the throne. And yet God is still watching over us. No matter what the circumstance, no matter what the trial, no matter what the condition of this country is in, God is still watching over us. And we cannot neglect that. We cannot forget that. Even though we are under some strict requirements in these days, yet these are days that are not new to us. We've been through crises before. We've been through chaos before. We've been through troubled times before. And God has always brought us through. How do I know that? I'm 73 years old, going on 74 in just a month or two, and yet I've been through many, many things. And God has never, ever forsaken me. I'm like David now. I've been young and I've been old. But I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed beg for bread. Let me go right to the message for today. I pondered this in my heart, especially with all that is going on in this country, and the times that we're in right now. And we're in some times, brothers and sisters, that really need our undivided attention. And so I think sometimes we need to remember that we are important to God. So I looked in the book of John, the 13th chapter, the 34th and 35th verse. He recites these words to us. A new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another as I have loved you, that you also love one another. And by this shall all men know that ye are my disciples, if you have love one to another. This scripture truly embodies what it is to be a disciple of Christ, but also it embodies how important you are to God. And so I'd like to take a moment, if I might, and share from these words. You, or rather, and they, matter to God. You matter to God. They matter to God. I've preached this from a series of messages I've done in the past called You Matter series. You know how, Black Lives Matter, all of that we were going through just a while back. But I think it's better positioned when I talk, or rather speak from the subject, they matter, you matter to God. And you need to understand why. And if you would just pray with me for just one moment. Father, into your hands now I commend myself, that thy spirit might work within me. what I would say and do at this hour. Bless your word to your people today through this vessel. And may my vessel now be a channel through which your love can flow into this congregation. In Jesus' name, amen. I've always been a preacher who believed in the power of love. Because ultimately God is love. And if we cannot love one another, we cannot share with one another, if we cannot entreat one another in the fellowship of this body of Christ, then we really are not, how can I say, in line with God's word. Because God's word teaches us to love one another as I have loved you. And if he says, as I have loved you, then you have to ask the question, how has God loved you? Well, let me put it very plain and succinctly, that he has loved you so much that he died for you.
Yes, sir.
That's how much he loved you.
Yes, he did.
He loved you that he died for you. And there's no greater love than one that would give his life for a friend.
Yes.
And so I thank God that I matter to him, that you matter to him. And so today I'd like to just look at this from the standpoint that you matter. And today, as we're going to talk about these, I guess, individuals, if I may put it that way, that we meet and come across every day. People. That's what this is about. It's about people. Even what we're going through now is about people. It's about people's lives. It's about people being endangered. It's about people who are now in chaotic ways, I guess, kind of scared and fearful of what's going on in this life today. So there are over 7+ billion, or should I say 7.5 billion people in this planet, on this planet. And the one, like the ones next door to us, the ones we work with, the ones we work for, the ones we see in the grocery stores and in the shopping malls, the ones we bump into every day at the gas station or the gym and the restaurant. I haven't made the gym lately, but I mean, I was going to the Senior Citizen Center, and they closed it down yesterday after me and my wife left. Friday we left, and they told us they wasn't going to open back up until the 16th of April. So we got a month off from the gym. No, we really don't. But anyway, I just thought I'd add that in. But what I'm trying to share with you is, we meet them in the restaurants, we meet them in the stores, we meet them everywhere we go. People we know, people we don't know. People who are total strangers to us. And you probably bump into them all the time. But did you know that 27,000 of them drive past the church every day? Every day, statistically, 27,000 people drive by a church. And so, in America, that is, in the United States, you probably bump into hundreds of them everywhere you go. And if you started counting them, they're everywhere. No matter where you go on this planet, you're going to run into somebody that even you know. And strange as that may seem, go on a vacation to get away from everyone. Who you think you're going to see there? I'm going to get away. I went on vacation, me and my wife, we went on vacation to Las Vegas. Yeah, what goes to Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas and all of that kind of stuff. But we went on vacation to Las Vegas and with our family. And just to take a break and get away for a little while. And who do we run into? Our neighbors who went to church where I used to pastor. Amen? All the way from Ennis, Texas. They up in Las Vegas. I ain't going to tell you who they were, but I mean, they up there. And so, just because you go to Las Vegas don't mean you're acting crazy, But it's not a place that would be my regular hangout. But we did run into them. And so, we even went on a cruise once in the Caribbean. And who did we see? Guess what? It's the pastor next door to the church where I pastor. On a plane cruise ship going to the same place. But to show you the lack of communication, we never, even though we know each other, we never talk about, interpersonal things. And so, therefore, even though we have a relationship, but yet our relationship is not so close that we know where each other is going. But wouldn't you know it, we just run into each other in the Caribbean on the same cruise ship? That's what I'm trying to share with you. There's an old saying. It says, if you can't beat them, join them. You and I are a part of a human race. And as hard as we might try to be the only person on the planet, it just isn't going to work. I've tried this. Even now we're trying to isolate ourselves. And it's really hard. It's difficult because you've been used to hugging people, kissing people, holding people's hands. You're a pastor, you've been used to praying for folks and laying hands on them. And now you got to all of a sudden adhere to a protocol so that others might not be infected or you might not get infected with someone else's disease. I could go to another place with that, but I won't. Because I do understand what it means when when we even taught in the Word of God to, it is sick amongst you, call for the elder of the church. Let him come laying hands, anointed with oil, and so forth. And yet, those things are still necessary. I'd like to say to you, though, as I ponder this, as we are part of this human race, and there are, as of yesterday, I guess about 7.5 billion, as I said, on this planet. Here in America, there's one person born every 8 seconds. And statistics say one dies every 10 seconds. An international migrant enters into this country every 29 seconds. That's a net gain of one additional person here in the United States every 17 seconds. 323 million plus people now live in the United States. That's not much when you consider countries like China and India, who each have around 1.3 billion people. What am I trying to express in this? I'm trying to say people are everywhere.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You can't find a landmass anywhere on this planet where people aren't there. People, other people. And we are commanded in the scriptures to reach them and to disciple them and to love them. Now, if I said the 10 Commandments, most all of us should know what I'm talking about, right? 10 Commandments, you shall have no other God before me. You shall not make idols. You shall not take the name of the Lord God in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Honor thy father and thy mother. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor, other. You shall not covet. 10 of them. The first 4 have to do with your relationship with God, but the next 6 have to do with them. Who? People. Others. And so, it's hard to lie about them and steal from them and covet what they have and murder them when you love them. Did you get that? It's hard to do those things when you love them. This is why Jesus told us to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. You won't have any problem with 6 of the 10 Commandments if you love others and value them enough to say that they matter to God. Understand, people are not inanimate objects. They are not, as I say, disposable. We might think sometimes because there are so many of them that we shouldn't be all that concerned about them. understand something with me as I go this way this morning, that we looked at this last week. Every single person on this planet matters to God. Whether we notice them or not, and whether we care about them or not, whether we want to or not, they matter to Him. What do you mean, Pastor? I said they matter to God. Everybody does. And so we can't afford to be so insensitive to the how can I say, the cares of people and what they have need of and how they need this. That's why my wife and I have embraced ministry in men and women's community ministry, because we believe that this ministry has to go to the streets. We're still trying to fill up church, and now we're saying don't fill them up because I mean, well, it's not tomorrow. I mean, what are you saying? You want to fill them up, but yeah, you don't want to fill them up. Not if there's disease coming in. Oh, doesn't that present us in a dilemma? Because we still got to work with them. We still got to be there for them. We have to find new ways and new avenues for sure. But they matter to Him. Look at the Psalms 24. He says this in verse 1. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world, and they that dwell therein. They belong to and they matter to Him. Can you imagine the conversation that was going on in heaven just before the little baby was born in Bethlehem? Huh? Think about it. The angels were asking God, why do you want to go down there? Why would you want to become flesh? Don't you know they are going to reject you? Don't you know they're going to despise you? Don't you know they're going to kill you? God said, I can hear Him talking now. Yes, but I'm going down there anyway. Angels, why? I can hear God now because they matter. Because I have to take care of them. Because they're my creation. And because I love them. I'm going down there. And one day Jesus and His disciples are walking along and He tells them, I must go to Samaria. Why would you want to go there, Jesus? I can hear the disciples now. Those people are Jewish. They don't worship the way we worship. Aren't Jewish. They don't worship the way we worship. No Jews go to Samaria. They walk miles around out of the way to keep from going down there to socialize. Why go to Samaria, Jesus? Because they matter. There's a little woman with a lot of stuff going on in her life, and she matters to me. And so I must go through Samaria. I have to go through Samaria because there's somebody there that's waiting on me. And some of us have, I guess, written some people off. But understand, God has not written no one off. They may irritate you. They may get on your nerves. They may be hurting you. You may even hate them, but as a Christian, you can't write them off. You got to try to reach everyone that you can reach, even though you may not reach everyone. See, Jesus fed His Judases. What are you saying, Pastor? I said Jesus fed His Judas.
All right. Yes, sir.
The one who was about to, I guess, sell Him out.
Yes, sir.
The one who was going to introduce the killing frenzy, if you would. Judas. Jesus sat next to Him at His Last Supper.
Yes, He did.
Judas was not someone Jesus pushed aside. Judas was someone who Jesus said, I need you to sit right here next to me.
Wow.
Even though you're going to betray me, even though you're going to talk bad about me, even though you're going to give me up,
Yes, sir.
I want you to sit right next to me
Wow. Yes, sir.
because you matter to me.
Wow.
And so I thought about it. So the question is, are you mature enough to sit with and feed your Judases? I'll let that sink in for a moment. Are you mature enough to sit with and feed the people who are going to talk about you? To share with those who are going to, get scrutinized you when they get behind your back. They're going to sure enough give you the workout. And let's see, apparently, I don't know, I've been a pastor for over 40 years, and I know there's some Judases in the congregation. Amen? And so, see, apparently Judas matters to Jesus, though.
Yes, sir.
Does anyone know what I'm talking about? When somebody done talk bad about you and you still go wrap your arms around them? When somebody done called you everything but a dog and yet you still get up and go to the hospital and see them? When somebody done cussed you out at their front door? I said, Lord, let me stay with the text. And so, Judases matter to Jesus. They matter. Who gets to decide who matters? That's a question you ought to ponder too. See, my wife can't make that decision for me. You can't make that decision for me. No one in this congregation can make that decision for me. I have to make that based on what God has taught me. Who matters to me, who I'm going to love, who I'm going to befriend, who I'm going to talk to, who I'm going to walk with. No matter what it is in life or that life has thrown their way. So who gets to decide who matters? You do, me do, society does. Revelations, I think it puts it this way, 22 and 17, and the Spirit and the bride say, come, and let him that heareth say, come, and let him that is athirst come. The Spirit of God is saying to them, come. What are we saying to them, though? The people outside these doors. The people in community who needs an upward mobility push. Who needs to know that Jesus loves them. Who needs to know that they matter to God. You can't ignore them, brothers and sisters. You can't walk away from them. You can't throw the towel in and say, I just quit. I give up. No. You wouldn't be the church of God if that's the case. So what are we doing that is in agreement with what the Spirit is saying and doing in people's lives? I think Matthew 18 put it this way. I'll tell you the truth. Whatever you forbid on earth will be forbidden in heaven. And whatever you permit on earth will be permitted in heaven. Whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Now, do you believe that? Then if you believe that, then you will do that. I'm not sure we realize the power of our prayers. I'm not sure we understand all that God wants to do with our witness. I wonder if we claimed a soul for the kingdom this week, did we? I wonder if we invited someone to come to church with us today, did we? The King James puts it this way, what you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. You need to start binding things away from you. And let the Spirit of God work it in you. I'm not saying be foolish. I'm not saying don't be careful. I'm not saying don't wash your hands. But in Japan's culture or in the Asian culture, when they honor someone or greet someone, they just come and say, handshaking is not a way of customary greeting. There's other ways you can honor and greet people to let them know that you see them, that you feel their presence, that you understand they matter. So as I move toward a close, I share this with you that you have to do the binding part. I bind something, you have to claim it. You have to want it. You have to go to work for it. You have to make it happen. You can't ignore them. You can't walk past them. You can't turn away from them. You got to pray for them. You got to love them. And the Spirit says, the bride say, come, and yet let him that heareth say, come, and let him that is athirst come. Where and who are they coming to? The church. And if we don't receive them and love them, who will? See, they matter, brothers and sisters. They have value. And he has a purpose for their life. John Maxwell said, the first question a follower asks of a leader is not, are you competent, or are you going to help me? The first word they ask when they look at a leader and decide to follow a leader is, do you care for me? See, because if you don't care about me, then why am I following you? Why do you want a pastor that don't care? One of the great qualities of leaders, and this is something I enjoy in your pastor, is that he is a caring person, a loving person, a loving personality. And he reaches out to you. Not just because he reaches out to you and say, hey, Pastor, I'm rich. No. This pastor, I have recognized that quality in him for many years now. And my wife and I have totally embraced him because of the kind of personality and caring spirit that he has. And I thank God for his ministry and pray that he continues in it. But with this said, he says, do you care about me? And the reason for that is because we don't want to submit our lives to someone who might hurt or manipulate us in some kind of way.
That's right.
I'm committed, if he's my leader, if he's my pastor, I'm committed to following him because he cares. And so I submit. Just like sometimes when you marry somebody, you submit to them. But guess what? You had the opportunity to choose the person you wanted to submit to. Amen? And so, and I won't say like the brother who told me one time earlier in my ministry, he said, Pastor, when you talk to my wife, the next time we say our vows, he said, would you tell her she need to obey me? I said, you better be worth obeying. And so let me leave that alone. Anyway, and so we can't, brothers and sisters, and we can't, in this question of care, is one that is significant in our life because it's the first step to trust, which is the first step to a relationship. No care, no trust, no relationship. And we can't introduce them to Jesus unless we have a relationship with them. Can I say this? It takes more strength to forgive than it does to remain hostile and angry and bitter. Forgiveness is a big deal because you got to be a big person to do it. Little people can't do it because they're too small, too petty, too easily offended. Forgiveness is a big thing, and you got to be a big person to order to be able to do it. I'm not talking about big in stature. I'm talking about big in heart and big in love. Forgiveness is you got to be able to see the big picture to forgive someone. You got to be able to be willing to lose the battle to win the war. You got to be willing to let go of the small stuff that really doesn't matter all that much when you compare it to the blood of Jesus, which is the bigger picture in order to forgive someone. Jesus said, I'm going to a cross and die, but I look beyond the cross. And I see what he has stored up for me. So I look at it and I see it. How is it then we think God is able to forgive us, but he's not able to forgive them? How is it that we think that his grace is able to forgive all of the craziness in our life? And somehow his hand is tied when it comes to their craziness. Hey, I don't know about you, but I've got some stuff I need God's forgiveness for. Yes, I do. I've got some stuff I'm not proud of in my life. I've got some stuff that, except for His grace, there's no chance in this world that I'm going to make it to heaven. I need His grace. I need His forgiveness. And I'm depending on it to help me to get where I'm trying to go. And that's where I'm going, is to be with Him. But how is it that we sometimes depend on all that, but think that it's impossible, even not available to others? We think we are the only one He died for. We think we are the only one that He suffered for. We think we are the only one that Calvary was all about. But we need to listen to John 3:16. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever should believe on Him should have eternal life. But we need to listen to it though, because they matter. They matter to Jesus and they matter to us. We can't call ourselves Christians and not be concerned about the same things that Christ is concerned about. And we can't call ourselves Christians and not be concerned about the 7+ billion people in this world today. And so 1 Timothy put it like this: who will have all men to be saved and to come unto the knowledge of the truth. It's not just about me today, brothers and sisters. It's not just about you either. We need to get stirred up in our hearts about them, the lost, the less fortunate, the unfortunate, those that are excluded. We need to get excited about them because they matter to God. Every lost soul you see out there on the streets matter to God. And every chance we get to go out and witness and be a part of their lives and to give things to them that are needful for their habitation, that are needful for them to make it, we're there putting it out there. Why? Because they matter. Because they matter. They matter to God and they matter to us. And they need to know they matter to us. They need to know that we are concerned about them and that they need to know that we care about them. Glory be to God.